So tell me, what was it? A zombie attack? An imp trying to set you on fire? Another worldly horror showing you things your mind couldn't grasp? What monster clued you in there are terrible creatures in the dark corners of the world? What drove you to find someone like me? Oh, don't be so surprised, new guy. I knew what you were looking for as soon as you got into the bar. The haunted look on your face was a dead giveaway. You saw something that you thought was only in horror movies, and wanted to meet someone who also knew about the creatures of the dark, and maybe teach you what it would take to take them down. Well, the fact you had the drive to find me, and the skills to do so, shows that you probably won't be a burden, which means I won't feel it will be a waste, teaching you what you need to know. So why don't you buy me a drink and take a seat, and I'll give you a rundown of the dark world you're diving into. So as you already guessed, the world is a lot darker than you knew, filled with creatures that see humans at best as playthings, and at worst as food. Creatures that are just smart enough to keep their presence hidden from those they consider prey, hidden so well that they basically turn into myth. The horrors they cause explained by the media as simply the results of gang violence, wars, and whatever excuse they think will calm regular folks. Now these creatures, who collectively we call darkspawn, come in many forms, but we who hunt tend to organize them into 5 categories. The first are the restless, zombies, ghouls, ghosts, etc. Those who were once alive, but are now too stubborn to stay dead. Then we got the possessed, those people or animals controlled by some malign force. That force being anything from a supernatural presence to a creepy little brain slug. Then we got the cursed. Primarily these are were creatures. Werewolves, shapeshifters, and skinwalkers. But we also shove in other unnatural creatures like trolls, gargoyles, harpies, and similar. Things you might have seen in ancient mythology books. Then we got the damned. Creatures from hell. Here you'll find creatures like imps, hellhounds, and even fallen angels. These creatures are beings of suffering made manifest, and love the idea of spreading that suffering to regular people around them. Finally, there are the others. Creatures that hail from outside. Whether that outside is another dimension, or the depths of space, depends on the creature. What they do share though is being eldritch beings, whose mere presence can shatter your mind if you're not strong-willed enough. Not anyone can face all these horrors and keep their hearts intact. But like you, there are folks who fight these creatures of the dark. We went by many names over the centuries, but nowadays, we tend to go by the term Night Watch. Now the job of the Night Watch was a lot easier in centuries past, when people of all rungs of society knew that these creatures lurked in the dark, which meant that a hunter of the Night Watch could usually requisition a force from the local lord to hunt these creatures down. Nowadays, you speak of these creatures, and it puts you in the same light as conspiracy nuts, causing regular people to think you're crazy and try their best to ignore you. Which means that those in the Night Watch have to either go hunt alone, which I wouldn't suggest, or with a party of like-minded souls, hiding our presence not only from the dark things, but also from the regular folks we are trying to save. On the one hand, it makes our job a bit more difficult. Our numbers in any hunt usually are around only 5 or so. On the other hand, we do have tools our forebears didn't, such as the magic of the internet, allowing us to share information about monsters and potential spots of monstrous activity, and also, guns. Now there are many types of people from all walks of life who hunt a darkspawn, but you can roughly divide them up into 3 professions. The first are those who aren't particularly fancy with their approach. These are folks who focus on the subtle art of physical violence, either in the form of firearms or melee weaponry, depending on their preference. They may not be as learned as the next 2 professions I'm going to talk about, but when you're facing down a monster that is trying to rip your face off, you'll be glad to have a buddy nearby who knows how to handle a weapon. Then we got weavers, who are essentially mystics and psychics, the folks who combat the darkspawn with occult powers, although how that looks depends on the weaver, whether that's in the form of occult rituals, Victorian-era incantations, or even a spell they found online that just seems to work for some reason. What all these weavers have in common, though, is that they push this magic through something they call a relic. It sort of acts as a focus for their magic, and can take any form that has some meaning to the weaver. A family Bible, a voodoo doll, a magic wand they made from stuff from a flea market. As long as the weaver believes it can focus magic, it just works. Then we got the rights. Think of them as part paranormal researcher and part inventor, using their technical know-how to create all sorts of useful things. Things that come in the form of contraptions and concoctions. Contraptions being devices that can be used to lure, bind, or whatever is needed to hunt down a dark spawn. And concoctions being substances that can be imbibed by hunters, to give them a boost when they really need it. You know what you're hunting, and you've got the gear to take them down, but the biggest issue is finishing them. Surprisingly, going around a small town swinging around weapons and screaming about monsters will put you in a few lists, so you've got to investigate. A hard job for many hunters, but a necessary one, using your wits and the occasional bit of intimidation or persuasion to get the info you need to find and take down the dark spawn. Do it right, and it can give you clues you can use to quickly take down a dark spawn in a fight. Do it wrong, and you might find yourself on the wrong foot when facing something that wants to eat your face. Well, that's about the rundown. Now how about I let you meet a few of my fellows? We recently have an opening, since one of our own recently had a bad run-in with an imp. Oh, don't worry, he's still alive. He just wishes he was dead.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on When Nightmares Come, an investigative wargame of supernatural horror. As you can guess from the lore, it's an interesting take on a wargame where basically you're a group of hunters, a la shows like, say, Supernatural or similar, basically hunting down monsters, with interesting mechanics that allow you to, before the fight even begins, investigate the town you're in to try to find clues that will help you out in the fight. Great for like a narrative campaign if you're really inclined to do that. Anyway, if you like the video, first off, if you like the game, link down below so you can take a grab at it. But if you like this video, please consider sending a like, put a comment, press the little bell so that YouTube guys know I exist, and hopefully more people can view my content. But if you're inclined and have a little bit of cash, please send a little money away to my Ko-fi and my Patreon. The extra money gives you a chance to work on these stories I love. Anyway, thanks for listening/watching, and see you next time.